What's up, clan? Island Trader FX here. Of course, different scenery. I like to switch up the background. You have the greenery. Um, but anyways, regardless, this week was a break-even week. Of course, you can't win them all. Last week was straight W's. This week was a break-even week. We had 2 wins, 2 losses. I will definitely go through the losses opposed to the wins, which we always do. One was was the Powell syndrome, and the other was, I would say, somewhat negligence. But we're going to go over that. So, ciao. Okay, so we're officially on the charts. So let's just go ahead and jump to the very first trade, which is Euro CHF. The camera looks a little bit grainy, so sorry for that, but the show must go on. You could see that Euro CHF has been consolidating, as you could see, sideways moving market. The only thing that I look for on Euro CHF at the time that told me, okay, you know what, I should go ahead and take a long opportunity on Euro CHF was this weekly expansion to the upside. I wanted to see price retrace back into this imbalance that it created after this expansion right here, and I wanted to see price move higher. So from the weekly, we go down to the daily, right? Okay, and from the daily, what did we have here, right? We could see that there was indeed an expansion after price came into this weekly fair value gap. You could see, due to that expansion, price left behind 4-hour fair value gaps, right? And of course, this 4-hour fair value gap, would have to be filled into, which price did literally right here. So this is where I took my entry. My TP would have been at this 4-hour high, or the close of this 4-hour high right here. So that would have been my TP. Ultimately, this trade did not play out. We could definitely see that it hit TP, but that trade did not, unfortunately, it did not play out. Despite the fact that we're seeing this week all the way here, Euro CHF is a pair that has just naturally or normally the spreads is high for Euro CHF. And especially when I'm very confident in my trades, there is something that I do. Some people may agree, some people may not. There are times, if I know for a fact that market is going to close and that particular pair has higher spreads, I would remove the stop loss or remove the take profit. Well, not really the take profit, but I would remove the stop loss, because if the market on a regular basis just have higher spreads than others, right? Almost similar to an exotic pair, right? Just imagine how wide those spreads are going to open up when the market closes. For that hour, the market closes. And that is essentially what happened to me there. The market opened up. Hopefully I do have a screenshot of it and I could post it. On the 30-minute time frame, the spreads were huge. And right after the market reopened, at 6, guess what? Price came back, very small and right back to my entry area. And I think the following day it would have hit TP. Right? So some people might say, but man, that is too risky, taking off the stop loss is too risky, but that's a risk that I'm willing to take. It's not every single trade I will do that for. Obviously, majority of my pairs have normal spreads, But for trades like this, Euro CHF or pairs, sorry, like this, I would do that. So will I celebrate the loss? Not necessarily. There are times that I'm okay if the losses, but I feel like on my end that was negligence on my end. So that is how we took the L on Euro CHF. Yeah. So let's go ahead and jump over to GBP AUD. Okay. Did I see on GBP AUD? First of all, GBP AUD has been bullish for a while. We could see on the weekly, very interesting stuff here. Even coming down to the weekly, but we could see on the weekly we had lovely expansion to the upside, of course, leaving behind a weekly fair value gap, which just screams bullish sentiment. Let me just get that away a bit later, which screams bullish sentiment. All right, so when we go down to the daily, what was my nearest PDRA? Of course, we had another expansion to the upside, creating a daily fair value gap right here. So I waited for price to tap into this daily fair value gap right here, which they did on that candle, but we could definitely just see from that daily candle that it did not work out. But here's what, right? So from the daily, I jump down to my 1 hour, and this is typically um an A plus setup, right, in my books. So majority of my setups would be something around that realm, and majority of them would play out. So that just goes to show you there are times where you may have everything figured out, you may have everything aligning perfectly, but guess what? The market will not play out the way that you want it to be. Okay. And that is just the nature of the market. That is why risk management is important. Okay. So when I saw price came into the daily zone, lovely right here, what I wanted to see a expansion to the upside, disrespecting those highs, right? Because if we're supposed to be selling, then we're supposed to be continuing to form lower highs. So I wanted to see a massive swing to the upside, disrespecting those highs. um I also wanted to see a retracement back into this expansion that was formed after price tapped into that zone. So on the 30 minute was a bit clearer. You had this 30-minute fair value gap right here, that high overlapping with the fair value gap, right? I wanted to see price tap into it. Of course, price did tap. My stops would have been below the low, and I would have been targeting a 4 hour close. So that would be a 4 hour close, and it would be overall a 1 is to 2.12 trade. And right after price tapped in, in profit just for a few minutes, and then um, Powell came in with a speech, and price just immediately dumped. And essentially, that was it for that particular trade. But overall, I would say, without a shadow of a doubt, not because I took a L on with one pair, some random day, I'm going to just switch my entire strategy for that. No, that's not how it works. Okay. Um, I saw something interesting right here. So nothing has happened as yet, but this is very interesting. You have the weekly fair value gap. You have price finally tapping into that weekly fair value gap. Okay. That weekly fair value gap overlapping with that high right here. Very interesting stuff. Um, in my opinion, if I were to get a 4 hour expansion, so you could see price nicely tapped into that zone. If I were to get a 4 hour expansion, leaving behind a 4 hour fair value gap and a retracement back into it, I would have no doubts trying to go ahead and take that overall 4 hour high right here. So something of that nature. Let's say price pushed high, price retraced back into somewhere that's around that area right here. I would have no problem doing something like this, yeah, or going ahead and tackling my previous high right here. But let's see how it plays out. But that's it for the video. You don't win them all. That's just how it goes. And the sooner you're comfortable with it, the sooner it gets better. So on to the next part of the video. So for now, where analysis is concerned, ciao.
The exploration of space.
The best pilot in the world, right here.
Yeah. Best looking he means.
It was mine.